Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 749, your favorite travel podcast. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. I'm currently in the deep depths of Minneapolis, underground.
Yeah, new location. I was actually thinking about this today before we started to record and thinking, we spoke about it after the Rudy Gusted episode. We have listeners from most episodes. We get close to 100 countries in terms of our listener base, which is great. But actually, for a podcast, we record from a pretty varied set of locations. Like you'd have to, for a non-travel focused podcast, there's not many out there that's going to
Maybe we're missing our niche. We should be a travel focused podcast.
Probably. We'd probably do a better job based on the fact that we routinely will have one of us in a slightly different location, and now you're in a long-term different location.
Yeah. First week here in Minneapolis. It's I'll tell you what, we've had obviously issues with like moving and getting here and all that, but being in a city again is so nice. Like, so for instance, we're not in downtown Minneapolis. We're in a neighborhood, but it's still considered Minneapolis. But the nice thing is we are literally 2 blocks from, honestly, one of the best breakfast places I've been to in years. Like just walking, we just got outside, walked for 2 blocks and it was there. And then 2 blocks the other way was like a phenomenal coffee shop. And then a pretty good Chinese restaurant that we already tried. Like the ability to just go out, walk for 5 to 10 minutes and be somewhere like to eat or drink is just so nice. It's such a different feeling than having to always get in a car and drive every single place.
Yeah, I've kind of gone through the reverse process, right? Because I moved to the suburbs. So I've gone in the opposite direction, although I still have bars, restaurants, and pretty much everything I need within walking distance. But I do agree with you. Talking about our travel, I was just in San Sebastian and staying at a really nice hotel.
Must be nice.
It was nice. We've had very different weeks, but
yeah.
The hotel was excellent, like really wonderful. I'll almost certainly go back and stay at that specific hotel. But it was slightly outside of San Sebastian, so it did just add in, we got to take a taxi every time we want to go somewhere. And it's a 10 euro taxi. It didn't take long. They showed up within 2 minutes, but it still was like a slightly different experience of just walking out of your hotel and being like, let's just go to that restaurant and then let's walk back.
Yeah, I had the exact, so this is why we should be a travel podcast. When I was in Rome, we stayed at that hotel and it was one of the nicest European hotels I've ever stayed at. The only downside was it was like a 10 to 15 minute Uber outside of anywhere you wanted to go in Rome. So like every single day started by either getting on the shuttle they had or getting an Uber, which kind of sucks, but it was like a really nice hotel. Like I would probably stay there again, even though it was inconvenient.
Yeah, and I mean, this just resulted. I was there Wednesday to Sunday, and we ate in the hotel twice for dinner.
Oh, is that the fancy 5-course meals you've been eating?
That was at a different Michelin star restaurant in Bilbao, but
it must be nice.
It was pretty nice. That was good, but
how much foam did you eat?
A lot. Nearly drowned in the foam. Maybe encourage fancy restaurants. We can cut back on the foam. It's all it does is
you've been foamed out.
It just hides. It's a very good way of compensating for not much else being on the plate. And I'm sure it's hard to make, and there's a lot of complexity within the flavors that you get from the foam. But the reality is you kind of scrape the foam away, and it's like, oh, there's half a quail's egg and a small leek, and that's all we've got.
Yeah, I think we've had definitely different travel weekends for sure.
Yeah.
I had
No, it
the
was excellent. San Sebastian, for anyone who hasn't been there, I'd highly recommend it. It's always on those lists, right, of kind of food capitals of the world. It
So
doesn't
you think what,
disappoint.
like you just need like 10, 15,000 euros for the weekend and you're good?
So actually, the big benefit you have within San Sebastian itself, it's the pinchos approach. So it's sort of a version of tapas, and you can go into most bars or the restaurants, and they've got pretty nice stuff. There's definitely you
Eh,
can some of it's
not the
not so
pictures I saw.
no,
I
but
don't think you guys are eating fucking little shareable tapas for what I saw
we
there.
were
Okay,
most of the
buddy.
time. We were most of the time,
Yeah.
and those that's not too expensive. You get really nice food, and you get to the end, and you're expecting the bill. And I will say, definitely the first day, I was expecting. There was four of us. I was expecting it to be, I don't know, 350 euros, and we spent 150 euros for four people to eat and drink, really, really well. So that part of it's not too expensive. But moving us on from a travel podcast to where our roots were really, where we made our names for ourselves. And you and I, pre-recording, were speaking about the fact that you are about to go and pick up a mattress as part of your getting into a new house. And nearly, well, 4 years ago, we had a waterbed discussion. And
Yes.
and
Super pro
Brett,
waterbed. If you are solo, it is not a couple bed. It is a single person bed. The water mattress.
well, our discussion, we kind of posted the episode on a subreddit, well, on Reddit for grown-ups, waterbeds, yay or nay. If you're a
What do
new
you mean
listener,
for grown-ups? Is this like a pineapple upside down swingers Reddit?
I don't think so. I think it's just sort of tips. It's adulting tips for the most part, right? You just speak about daily life, and
Okay.
it's been a pretty popular conversation. And even 4 years later, we continue to get the occasional comment going on to that, and I get an email notification. It usually goes to my spam, but every
Give me
once
the
in a
most
while.
recent comment.
So the most recent one was on April 23rd. I think of this. I don't get notifications for all of them. So I've got to say, if I've
But
not
let
got
me
a,
just read me the most recent comment on our waterbed Reddit thread.
uh, it is from Andrew A37 Andrew. Do foam soft-sided waterbed frames that contain the waterbed mattress lose its supportive shape over time? I know that over
Andrew?
time.
Oh, he's still going. Okay, sorry.
Oh, there's a while. I
Okay.
know that over time, pillows and mattresses have use-by dates. I've had a waterbed for over 30 years. Over that time, the bag has been replaced about 4 times at around $400 to $500 per time. Not bad compared to the $900 for a normal queen size mattress over the same period of time. But the foam base that contains the mattress is still the same from day one. And recently, last year or so, I find my bed doing one of two things. When I sit on the bed, I sink to the board under the waterbed. When I shift position on the bed, my feet and elbows also press against the base. If I add more water to the bed so that I don't feel the baseboard, the waterbed bag becomes domed. This makes it
Ooh,
feel like that you
no
are
good.
slowly sliding off the bed. Very noticeable when you share the bed with your wife. If the bed is already occupied, I don't sink to the base. The water is spread more evenly. So, if the foam soft-sided frame was no longer square and became a little rounded, I think the waterbed bag would no longer keep its ideal shape for supporting the human body. Should I replace the foam soft-sided frame or just keep playing with adding more water?
Andrew,
Do you regret asking me to read the entire comment?
not at all, because Andrew, even though you tried to drop that wife line in there, I know that for 20 to 30 years you have been single, my friend. Because you are so enamored with your waterbed that there is no way you are in a serious relationship.
Well, let me contrast that to the second most recent comment, which
Oh boy.
came which came from the Huongster. That's spelled Huongster,
Okay.
who very succinct comment wrote, "Always wanted one for sex. Gotta try it at least once, right?"
Wongster. I like your thinking, man.
So this is what makes the podcast so special. We start conversations that have very serious contributors like A37 Andrew, and we have the more laid back listeners like Huangster just chipping in.
A37, meaning meaning he's been single for 37 years.
Oh, you know what? I'll link to the podcast. We'll let him listen to this. He's yet to have a response, so this could be his first reply to his question.
Yeah, this could be it.
But yeah, that's our waterbed update. I'll give you another one in probably 2 or 3 years' time, so we can look
Amazing.
forward to that. But it's still pretty active, and I mean, it's got a lot of comments. We're dealing with a couple hundred comments on it about I mean the most popular comment has 71 upvotes, which is kind of insane for a waterbed topic, but people are very passionate about it.
Yeah. So we're a travel/waterbed specific podcast. It's good to know.
Yes. Yeah, no sports anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of sports, I'm actually the other thing I'm pretty excited about being here is being around all four major sports. We drove by again yesterday the US Bank Stadium where the Vikings play. It is a really nice looking stadium. Like, I'm genuinely excited to go in and see what that stadium looks like. When you drive by, it is pretty cool looking, and it looks really nice at night as well. So it'll be cool to go to that one. And then we also drove by the brand new MLS stadium. I think it's Alliance Arena, and it looks like a legitimate European football stadium that is specifically dedicated to soccer or football. And that looks really, really cool as well. So those are two stadiums I'm definitely looking forward to going to.
I'm
And
looking
super
forward to
close.
I'm looking forward to going when I visit. Obviously, I'm slightly disappointed because I did really enjoy our trip to the Phoenix Suns. So,
Yeah.
you've got that was an arena I would like to go back to. So that's the downside.
I don't know
Going
if
to
the Timberwolves arena is going to be like that.
Probably not, but you've got a major upgrade from an NFL stadium perspective. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
This will be way better than the Card Stadium. I mean, just the outside itself looks way better.
That's all I care about when I go to a stadium.
Yeah. We won't even go in.
Just stare at it from the outside.
Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, they're super accessible, all the stadiums, which is really nice because, like, they're in, like Minneapolis proper. They're not in Glendale, an hour fucking Uber away.
Yeah. But you got no Waymos.
We don't have Waymos.
That's another trade-off. Don't know how well the Waymos
What
could
a
handle
shame.
this. I don't know if I'd want a Waymo in snow and ice. I think that
Yeah.
that might test my ease at being inside of one. So, moving on to more sporting topics,
Big news coming out today.
which is
Trump has done what he said he would do.
kickoff change.
No, Pete Rose.
Oh, I didn't see this. Wow.
So supposedly the MLB commissioner met with Trump, I think yesterday or the day before. And then 2 days later, the commissioner has announced that people or I should say baseball players on the permanently banned list get off the list after they die. I will paraphrase the quote, but it was something along the lines of, like, once you pass, you shouldn't be judged or like you shouldn't have to take the blame for what you did, which is pretty insane when you think about, like, pretty evil people in the world. It's like,
Yeah.
once they're dead, they're like, actually, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Come on. It's not all negative.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Jeffrey Dahmer, not the
Yeah.
greatest of guys, but he was
Yep.
still friendly to old women.
I mean, once we got Bin Laden, I mean, then all the praise came out about how she was actually a really good businessman, did a lot for the local economy.
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know how that makes any sense, but
No, it's a difficult logic to apply to a wider set of circumstances. I also think it doesn't make any sense even for the Hall of Fame, which is fundamentally just a museum celebrating your sport, right? And I'm a firm believer in the fact that anyone of significance who made major contributions to that sport or is a defining character within a certain era of that sport should be included because that's the point of a museum. So whether that's Pete Rose or Barry Bonds or whoever else, they should be there.
Barry Bonds
Now,
isn't dead yet.
no, but obviously now he will be first ballot posthumous induction once he
Do you think
croaks.
he's going to try and fake his own death so he can see himself in the Hall of Fame?
That would
Oh,
be a
what
good move.
that is a great move.
You
That
know
is a
who would
great
have
untold.
O.J. Simpson would have 100% done that. If he were still around and if the NFL Hall of Fame had a similar thing, then he would have definitely gone for that move. But
So here's a quote from Manfred. It's obviously a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game.
it's
And
kind
I
of
don't,
weird.
it is very weird because at age, what was Pete Rose, 70, 80? Was he really a threat still to the integrity of the game? Is like what he did 30 years ago, whether he was alive or not,
Is the threat.
threatened the integrity. Yeah, like
And
again, that's like the bin like putting it into context. It's like once Bin Laden died, it's like it wasn't bad what he did. Who cares now? He's dead.
you're very hooked on this Bin Laden comparison.
Well, I mean, Pete Rose, Bin Laden, Shoeless Joe
natural
Jackson.
natural analogies. Um,
It's just
yeah,
a
it doesn't
weird thing that doesn't
it
make
doesn't
sense
make
to
any
me.
sense because the threat posed by the act that the person did remains. Like
Yeah.
putting Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame and basically saying that your on-field performances can outweigh potentially bringing the sport into disrepute by betting on it no longer matters once you've died.
The Pete Rose one's a little tough because I think there is still you can still slightly debate some of the merits. I think the Barry Bonds one is actually a better analogy because it's like after, let's say when Barry Bonds dies, after he dies, does the fact that he cheated to be very good at the sport no longer matter? No, because it still means that if you cheat, eventually you'll get resolved of your sins and you'll be in the Hall of Fame. Like that's not how it should work.
Yeah, and look, what I will say is, do I care about being inducted into a Hall of Fame posthumously? Probably not. The reason for going into a Hall of Fame is so that you get to go through that induction ceremony and sort of feel the recognition that you're getting in the moment. So I do get. I think the better way of framing it would be once they're dead, who cares?
Yeah.
Like we can
They
put
don't
them in
get they don't get the satisfaction.
yeah, we're not rewarding them for what they did. We're just putting them into the museum because they warrant a place there, but we're denying them the ability to have that sort of praise and celebration of their career. Um, and I think the better way to do that would just be to say you can get inducted, but if there's some major controversy associated with you, then you don't get an induction ceremony. You can't go to the Hall of Fame, and you just put a little asterisk. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, and it should say next to it, he took PEDs. It's that simple. And
Head
then,
grew 3 sizes.
yeah, and then people get to learn about that as they go through the Baseball Hall of Fame. And because ultimately the thing that's a farce about all this, right, is there's definitely people in the Baseball Hall of Fame who took PEDs and just weren't caught, or who were playing in an era when they weren't really testing for it, or were playing in an era where they kind of, like it's not as big of an issue or hot of a topic now as it was in the mid to late 90s. So you don't get blacklisted in the same way for failing a test now. You get the kind of sketchy 60-game suspension, and probably you can still make the Hall of Fame anyway. So yeah, just put them in. I don't really get it, but I'm not in charge of any Hall of Fames, and certainly will never be in charge of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
So speaking of suspensions, yesterday I watched the new Untold called Shooting Guards. It's the Gilbert Arenas and Javarius Crinton incident where they pulled guns on each other in the locker room. Pretty interesting. I think one was a little more aggressive than the other, but both had pretty bad attitudes towards the situation. Like it was Gilbert Arenas comes off. I think he thinks he comes off looking like the lesser of the worse because of things that happened afterwards with Crittenden. I won't spoil the story, but he goes down a much darker path at post NBA career, which that basically ended his NBA career as well. But Arenas' attitude towards it is really bad. And he's like, he considers himself a jokester, and like he still kind of jokes about it to this day. And it kind of led to a terrible situation of what Crittenden then does. And he definitely is partly to blame for that. And he doesn't affect him at all. Like he doesn't even conceive that he had a slight role in like the butterfly effect of what happened. So it was a pretty good one. Like I didn't know much about that scenario, so it was good to like learn about it a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean Gilbert Arenas has done a pretty good job of being able to separate himself from that controversy in terms of now, he has his
He's a
podcast.
broadcaster, right?
Yeah, and he
Oh yeah,
makes his media,
podcast.
but he makes media appearances. He's like definitely appearing on those shows, not as a kind of main person, but he shows up from time to time, which he's a really good example. And I think you see this in a lot of sports. And look, this is Rich coming from two guys who never played professional sports, speaking about sports on a weekly basis, but he's he has a reputation that probably is, as a player, is probably better than his actual standing within the game was. Like there's that big thing of Bill Simmons loves to talk about it, right? People watching the highlights and being like, player X was a problem in football, as in soccer. What you hear a lot on the social media stuff is like the streets will remember his name for players who had like very good skills, ball control, passing, dribbling abilities. Gilbert Arenas is a good example of one of those where almost over time, his ability is held in higher and higher regard. And it's like, well,
To 1 year, he averaged over 40 a game.
no doubting. I'm not trying to say he was mediocre, but you've definitely, in most of the time, you feel like those sports, like the position that he holds now, should almost be reserved for people who've won multiple titles, were undoubtedly the best player in their position for an extended period of time. And he had a couple of years where he was very, very good, but didn't sustain that over the length of his entire career. He gets some credit for being sort of the original Agent Zero, I think, and wearing zero as a number, and now that's been copied endlessly. But yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. You see it in football, like Mika Richards on the CBS broadcast or wherever else. It's kind of the same. Even Jamie Carragher is an example of it, where he'll throw himself. It'll be Gary Neville versus Jamie Carragher having a discussion about their respective careers. And it's like, all right, Jamie Carragher, you won one Champions League in semi-fluky circumstances. Gary Neville won 13 Premier League titles, a champion, two Champions Leagues, I think. I think he was still around for the second one. The two of you going kind of toe to toe on which one of you was better, perhaps, which sometimes happens in discussion. Like this is a farcical debate, but that now can legitimately be had because you're put on the same pedestal almost because of your media careers. I know I've taken us down a tangent that you probably didn't see coming there.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, have you watched the episode?
No, I've given up on the Untolds.
Uh, well,
My late
in the episode, it's revealed that he owns like over 600 guns, and he's like a gun collector, and he got them all during his career from Arizona
Oh,
because he
nice.
went to U of A.
Oh man, we should try and get him on the podcast. Just talk guns with him.
It was pretty
Not
crazy.
career. We'll have no career talk, just guns. What's your favorite gun? What's your favorite type of ammunition? If you had to murder someone with a gun, which gun would you choose? But whilst I've not been watching any of the Untolds. I did watch Pablo Torre's, the Pablo Torre finds out big discussion he had, the reveal about the Bill Belichick situation. I mean, Pablo Torre has been going on pretty much every media platform over the last week or so to discuss this in various forms. It's pretty fascinating to see just how crazy the Bill Belichick situation is and the level of concern that people within his family and other
Oh,
contacts within his
crazy.
network have over how he might be being manipulated and taken advantage of by his girlfriend, and just the weird ways in which she's behaving. It's insane. And you know who
I don't get it.
I mean, I don't get it in the sense I do and I don't get it. I get it that if you're him and you're like, look, I've had a really good run, excellent career, and does it really matter now who I'm in a relationship with or what I do? Like, we're coming towards the end and I just want to enjoy myself. She makes me happy. Fine, fair enough. Live your life. You're 74 years old. What does it really matter at this point? But you would think that she's damaging his reputation so significantly that he could get everything else he's getting from her from someone who wouldn't do that. You would think. Obviously, that's sort of a skeptical view on love, I suppose, but it seems manageable. The thing that was interesting to me is that in watching it, the people who I lost the most respect for was not her, wasn't Bill Belichick, but it was actually all of the hangers on that surround him, including Mike Lombardi, who always goes on the Bill Simmons podcast, and the only thing he talks about, well, every point will be like, well, when I worked with Bill Belichick, the thing we would always do. And now it's very clear from this that he is so desperately trying to maintain that relationship with Bill Belichick that even when it's obvious that perhaps there's a new component within Bill Belichick's life that is a negative influence, he's not brave enough to speak up and say, I don't know if this is good for you, Bill, because he obviously doesn't want to be shunned. He wants his general manager position at the University of North Carolina,
Yeah.
and he wants to be able to go on podcasts and talk about the last time he spoke to Bill. And his career would basically be over if he did something that ruptured that relationship. All right, on to other sporting news. I guess we can speak slightly. We're a week removed at this stage, but Champions League
Yeah.
semifinals wrapped up. Arsenal did not pull off the comeback. They
No, they did not.
sort of faded into insignificance this season and lost
Yeah.
in Paris 2-1, so lost 3-1 on aggregates. In the other tie, Inter Milan did come out on top in a match that once again in regular time finished 3-3, and then they won 4-3 in extra time. I said to you, when we were texting about it as the match, I think you know me, listeners will know me. I'm not one to speak. I'm not hyperbolic when it comes to my experience and my enjoyment of anything. That was genuinely over the course of two legs, one of the best two-legged knockout matchups of football I've ever watched.
It was unreal. Like I tuned in like towards the end of the first half. I had just genuinely forgotten that the match was on because I was so busy with packing and doing other things. And then I threw it on, and I don't think I got any packing done for the next 90 minutes because like you couldn't stop looking for 30 seconds. There'd be like another play. It was like back and forth, and it was so fun to watch. It was an amazing match. And then even extra time was like so good. I mean, there was so many opportunities. I thought at any moment that they would score and like retie it up, but it was great. It was really fun to watch.
No, I mean, you had so much drama. You're talking about two legs in which Inter Milan raced to a 2-0 lead and then were pegged back. And then, this time around, it was slightly different in that Barcelona went 3-2 up, at which stage, in the 87th minute when Rafinha scored, you felt like at that time it was dead and, it was over. Inter Milan had blown it. Barcelona then just showed real naivety in their defending and kind of kept pouring forward and allowed Inter Milan to sometimes somehow have a sort of 3-on-3 counterattack in the 94th minute, which is just like insane. I just don't understand from setup coaching system perspective how you can allow that to happen and why you wouldn't just have 6, 7, 8 players sitting back. I know at times we discuss it and like when we've spoken about England and we talk about how they sit back and protect leads under Southgate, that it was frustrating because it inevitably led to them blowing leads. There's a happy medium between pouring players forward recklessly and pushing everyone back to defend. And Barcelona did not manage to find that happy medium. And then, I mean, yeah, even in extra time, Jens Sommer pulled off a couple of fantastic saves to deny Lamine
Unreal.
Yamal. I mean,
That one he made on Yamal. I'm sure the announcers weren't the same. the announcers on the US broadcast didn't even see that he had saved it. They thought he had just like kicked it wide
Yeah.
until like the second replay, and he was like, "Oh my god, he actually made a save on that. That is amazing!" Like it was great. Like he had some phenomenal saves to keep him in it. That was impressive.
I think the
It
most
was what, like
telling part,
14 saves or something, right?
yeah, the most
It
telling
was
part about
something
that
like
last
insane.
save from Yamal was Yamal strikes the ball and then starts to peel away in the way of you have because you think you've scored. He hits it so purely and exactly gets what he wants from it and starts to kind of make that move that, oh, I've done it, and then is just
Oh, I know
almost in
that feeling.
shock. That is almost in shock to see him get a touch on it and be able to push it wide. It was, yeah, really fantastic and great. The polar opposite was kind of the snooze fest between Arsenal and PSG over two legs.
Ooh.
No, but I mean, just genuinely, I don't think either of those teams is particularly exciting. And look, I don't think Inter Milan are necessarily the most exciting team in the world, but it's like
Well,
the buck.
that that 2 game aggregate would would argue otherwise.
And they always say, like in boxing, right? It takes two fighters to make a fight, and in Inter Milan Barcelona we got that. In PSG Arsenal we really didn't. Arsenal are quite conservative, PSG are quite conservative, and certainly once PSG were 2-0 up on aggregate, they had little incentive, and then ultimately 3-0 up on aggregate, they had little incentive to really show any attacking intent. And Arsenal dominated possession but didn't do a tremendous amount with it over the course of the second leg. Mikel Arteta, I have to say, he's just gone off the deep end. Like if we need to do welfare checks on Bill Belichick, we need to start doing welfare checks on Arteta, because between his claims that Liverpool, Arsenal should have won the title twice based on the fact that Liverpool had the same amount of points, whatever nonsense he's talking about in that, like, it's not how it works. I get kind of the point that he's making, but you should be better than that to be making it. It's stupid. And then to lose that match against PSG and make this bizarre claim that they were not only the better team, but that the PSG coaching staff told him that they were, and that PSG's best player was Donnarumma, and that proves that Arsenal are the better team. It's
Well,
just
it's
insane.
I mean, listen, I'm going to tee you up here a few times, but is this not just indicative of the fan base? Is he not just like the head voice of the fan base with how delusional they are?
He is, and I don't know which one's feeding into the other more. I think he might be setting
Oh,
some of the
it's like
tone.
the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, and this side, I think it's two assholes eating each other's assholes. There's no head here. It's just this is just human centipede, but without any of the
I don't know how
face
that works.
segment of it. But but
But
I agree with you. He is a product slightly of their overall culture that permeates their fan base and every part of their club. And it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them at times watching it. I and the thing is,
I sent Sam a great Instagram reel. I don't know if you'd seen this one. We can put it up on our accounts, but it was like an Arsenal fan calling the hotel to cancel the reservation for the finals, and he was like, "We were just, I mean, what? How could we not be there? I don't know." And it's like all like the reasons of like why they should be there, and like how it's inconceivable that they're not. It's like really really good. And then he
and
was like,
look,
"Where's it next year? Bilbao, book it."
and look, I get it. I've been caught up in the enthusiasm around some of the teams I support, whether that's the 49ers winning the Super Bowl, England winning the Euros, England winning the World Cup. There have been, I get being optimistic and hopeful and expecting good things. But every Arsenal supporter I've spoke to was convinced that they were going to get through against PSG, even after the first leg defeat, and they thought they were going to get through 3, 4, 5, 6-0 on aggregate. Uh, and that's not the bit that bothers. It's the delusion that extends well beyond that, right? In the discussion surrounding how good some of their players are, how much their team is worth. You know, how close they are to winning the title, how close they are to the other teams that they play against. And I said this in a group chat separate from this, but I think he is legitimately saved by his accent, because I think if he didn't sound Spanish and that didn't add a certain sense of like, oh, the Spanish, they like get football better than us. They're more skilled. They've got the tiki taka football. He's playing chess. We're playing checkers. If he sounded American, he would have been fired ages ago, and he would never be allowed near a football team. If he sounded English, I think it would be the same. It's
Let me ask you this too, because this was something I had wanted to discuss. In terms of the season, we're not fully finished yet, obviously, but we're wrapping up. We're pretty close here for the Premier League. You have Liverpool, who obviously won the Premier League, successful season by their standards. You have Newcastle, who will finish probably in the top four, could be as high as second, and have won their first cup ever. So, by all standards, successful season. Man City, disappointing season, but still can come home with some hardware. They have the FA Cup final coming up. Chelsea, I think, obviously not the greatest season, but have kind of made it into the top five. Maybe this is a rebuilding season, have something to build on for next year. Besides United, who have, just absolutely freefalled, like, this has got to be a super disappointing season for Arsenal. They don't win the Premier League. They have no trophy. They have no finals. They have just a mediocre attempt to win the Premier League that falls extremely short.
Yeah, no, look, if you told Arsenal beforehand that they would be on, Arsenal supporters, they'd be on 68 points after 36 league matches, they would have viewed that as a dismal failure and probably would have expected themselves to be outside the top four. It's just because of the struggles that everyone second to fifth, sixth has been experiencing that they find themselves, for the time being at least, in second place. They could drop out of that, and they are 15 points behind first. So, second, but only in kind of in name only, not in terms of competitiveness. I think it's a massively disappointing season for them. It's a massively disappointing season for Manchester City. Yes, Newcastle, I think, almost certainly going to be getting Champions League football. That's a success. Chelsea look as if they may be able to salvage Champions League football, which did not look likely a couple of months ago, even though I thought that they would win the title in November. But that I think this overall would probably be viewed as a successful season for Chelsea. Plus, they could have some European success, even if it is in the least prestigious of the three competitions. The interesting discussion then gets into, catastrophic seasons in the league for Manchester United and for Tottenham to be in 16th and 17th place respectively, and to be lucky enough to not be in relegation scraps because of how awful the bottom three are.
Was it United? I saw that the stat was, if you remove the relegated clubs, they would be last. Like, if you remove the results of the relegated clubs, they would be, I mean, they're almost already 17th to begin with, but I think it was like, if you removed them and the table was rearranged, they then become like the lowest in the Premier League, which is
It's
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's believable. They got negative
I'm almost
11
positive it was them.
Yeah, they got negative 11 goal difference. Spurs at least have a positive goal difference, which is unusual for a team in the bottom half. But 39 points with 2 games to go on a lot of seasons, that would still put you in with being in a relegation scrap. If you lost both of your remaining games, you could go down, and they're fortunate that neither one of them finds themselves in that situation. They've, between them, lost 37 league matches, which, it's only the clubs beneath them that have done worse in that respect. Spurs have lost 20 matches. It's unbelievable. They've only won 11. But then the funny thing is they're both in a Europa League final. They're both one win away from getting Champions League football next season. And I mean this very genuinely, for each one of them, they're both one win away from arguably having a better season than Arsenal. yes, they're in disarray in the league, and yes, there's huge problems to solve. But you play professional sports to win things. That's the ultimate goal. So any season that finishes with winning a reasonably prestigious tournament is obviously better than not. And the ultimate outcome, whether you finish second or whether you finish 17th and win the Europa League, you also get Champions League football the next season. So, you know, it, uh, I'm not doing this. I'm not trolling Arsenal supporters. I'm not trolling Manchester City supporters or but uh, whoever wins out of Spurs and United will have kind of had a better season. And in the same way that Newcastle, obviously with the League Cup success, I would rather that, even if they end up finishing third behind, or even let's say fourth or fifth, I would take that over Arsenal finishing second and having a Champions League semi-final defeat. Then, like lifting silverware is obviously the ultimate goal. For United, it could lead to a very bizarre sequence of events, though, because they finished eighth last season, so they shouldn't have been in the Europa League to begin with, but they won the FA Cup, so that got them into the Europa League. And then this season, they're going to finish, well, anywhere from 17th to at best 15th or 14th. And then they could win the Europa League and get themselves into Champions League football. So they could have back-to-back seasons of, say, an eighth place finish followed by a 17th place finish, and in the process have also won the Europa League and playing Champions League football the following season. It's almost inconceivable. Part of me wants to say it's an example of how part of the English structure and the European structure is completely broken. Another part of me says that if this were any team other than Manchester United, it would be kind of wonderful. Like if this were being pulled off by, Everton, having won the FA Cup the season before and then now winning the Europa League, you would say, oh, what a great example of how focusing on cups and prioritizing cups is still useful. But because it's Manchester United, it feels like it's rewarding teams for being incompetent. But yeah, I don't know. Long rant, covered a lot of different topics there, but awful season for Arsenal. Long and the short of it.
So, speaking of awful seasons, I came across a post by Top 4 Tiers on Instagram that ranked, this is as of April 29th, so a little less than a week and a half ago, the Premier League's worst players ranked according to, I think it was FOTMob or some sort of ranking system. I will give you the hint that these are the worst 6. All 6 are in the bottom 5 teams of the Premier League. Do you want to guess who these players are?
Sure.
I can even give you, if you want, I've pulled out their salary, their yearly salary, and what their transfer fee was. And I will tell you now, I won't say anything, but the transfer fees may surprise you.
Okay. Yeah, let's start. So again, they're all within the bottom 5. They play with clubs in the bottom 5.
Bottom 5.
Okay.
Yes. And it doesn't mean like one per, so there's 6 of them. So one
could all
obviously
be
is doubled.
Or they could be all on the same team.
Yes.
Theoretically, but obviously are not.
Go ahead. Do you want to guess?
Well, yeah, but do I have more? Tell me. Wait, I thought there was individual clues for each one.
Oh, I don't have individual clues. I thought you were just going to start guessing.
Tell me the parameters again very clearly for the first bit.
They are the worst ranked players. And played like majority of the season, not like a sub. These are starters.
Okay. And they could play any position.
Any position. I'll give you a hint for one of them. I'll give you a hint for No.
Okay, give me a position and then I can
I'll give you a few hints. I'll give you one
No, just give me position. Just give me position.
Forward.
The tough bit?
Yeah.
Forward. Forward. I'm going to say Jamie Vardy.
No. But he did play for England.
He did play for England. Does not still play for England.
He might. I don't know right now with the current.
James Maddison, are you classifying him as a forward? It's
plays
not
for
Marcus
Southampton.
Rashford. He plays for Southampton. And he's a forward.
Oh, sorry, not Southampton. Oh. Sorry. Ipswich. Sorry.
I was looking at the other person. He plays for Ipswich, and he's a forward. Plays for England, or put me out of my misery.
Phillips.
Oh, he's a midfielder. But no, just give me the list then. Let's.
Adam Armstrong. I could have given you a hint on that one.
Okay,
Rasmus
that's harsh
Højlund.
on Adam. That's harsh on Adam Armstrong, I think, a little bit.
Oliver Skip. Cameron Archer. Calvin Phillips. And Archie Gray.
Archie Gray, that's tough too because he's been played out of position for a lot of this season.
Yeah. And the
So,
highest transfer fee obviously was Rasmus Højlund at 75 million to United.
I mean, I
And
think
it's the
Højlund will end
fifth
up.
worst.
I think Højlund will end up being a good player. I think he just needs time. I think he's been thrown into a difficult environment, and expecting success immediately is tough. But yeah, I mean, those probably wouldn't be on my list of the 5 most disappointing players, even within those sets of teams. So it feels like they're using metrics there that maybe aren't as reflective of poor performances that they should be.
I don't have the top 5 best players though. That was not posted. Everyone's just
People,
haters.
yeah, as they should be. What other sporting stories? Obviously, the NBA draft lottery took place last night. The
What a fix that was, huh?
Dallas Mavericks, with a 1.4% chance of getting the first overall pick, managed to win it, leading to conspiracy theories about the NBA wanting to, keep the optimism within the Dallas Mavericks fan base even after the Luka Doncic trade. I kind of don't know how that plays because I feel like if you're going to be conspiracy theorists about the NBA draft lottery, almost who regardless of who wins it, you can create the narrative of why it would have made sense for the NBA to reward that particular team.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like, people are saying, if the Sixers had won it, people would have said, "Oh, here we go, the Philadelphia 76ers getting bailed out." If the San Antonio Spurs had won it, it would have been, "Oh, look at that, get Wembayama one year, and then a couple years later they get the next best big thing coming into the NBA." So you can kind of, for most of the teams, start to create some type of narrative. I don't really buy into it.
But I guess the good thing, maybe, if you want to be an optimist, that you could say is that the NBA draft lottery, I think since like the last 5 or 6 years, has changed its metrics so that if you tank, you don't necessarily get the number 1 pick. And the bottom team has not gotten the first pick in the last 5 years. So at least that's working, I guess you could say, and be optimistic and say they're not encouraging tanking because it doesn't matter, but still you have a increased likelihood of getting a top 5 pick if you try and tank. So I don't know what's the incentive to not tank and get like the 12th pick versus tank and at worst get 5th.
Well, this would be a good example, right? Because you had a team that kind of made the playoffs. They got to the play-in game and lost, and still managed to win the draft lottery. So that's an incentive, even if you're a sort of middling team, to keep trying. And I do agree with you. It's the system because they've put the odds for the bottom 3 teams are now the same. So you have there's an incentive to be pretty bad, but not an incentive to be catastrophically bad. And a lot of the people who were critical of the previous system are still being critical of the current system because now it's like, whoa, well, the good teams are getting the players. It's like, but isn't that what you wanted? You didn't like it when the really bad teams got the players. That implies that some good teams are going to get the players from time to time.
Yeah.
Now the good teams are getting them, and you say it's unfair. You can't have it both ways. I don't know how you want this to work.
Yeah. I have actually a non-sports topic, a little point of discussion, a little etiquette discussion. We are a travel podcast, we are a mattress podcast, and we are also a etiquette podcast. I recently did a 26-hour drive road trip from Arizona to Minneapolis. I stopped in many roadside gas stations and rest stops and blah, blah, blah. I was at a gas station, went into the men's bathroom. There's like a big gas station, so there's a lot of people in the bathroom. A gentleman on his cell phone on speaker while at the urinal. Thoughts?
I mean, I got a lot of them. First, why? If you're the person, because the person listening, speaking to you, will become aware of the fact, definitely, that you're in a bathroom. And why would you ever want to be speaking to someone and have them know that you're going to the bathroom? Just answering the phone in the bathroom, even in the comfort of your own home, I think is an insane move, because I don't know why you would want that to be part of the interaction. Putting it on speaker and just being that inconsiderate for people around you is always an asshole move. I don't like people putting it on speaker in any environment. Like, once you step outside your house, you do not have the right. And I wish phones should almost come with this, that you kind of have to like set your home
Right.
location. And then when you're not at home, the speaker functionality is disabled, because like just in general, I think the onset of voice notes and the onset of like Bluetooth headphones have just allowed people to now feel like you can just speak and interact with your phone anytime, anywhere, as loud as you want, and just like not think about other people at all. It drives me insane. On my train ride back from Spain, I sat next to a girl who got up to go and speak on the phone, but she didn't get up whenever she was sending a fucking voice note. It's just as annoying
Oh
to listen to
God.
you send a voice note and then listen to the voice note that comes back to you. Actually, arguably more annoying than you just having a phone call. But I don't know. I just don't get it anymore. And yes, that breaks all etiquette rules and is just disgusting what you were describing.
So was I justified in being in the stall next to him and overly exaggerating how good of a feeling it was for me to relieve my my bladder?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Because I
I
did
th-
it and he looked over as if like he got angry and looked
no,
over at me and I like
100%.
pretended as if I didn't see him, but I definitely exaggerated how great of a feeling it was to hit that urinal.
Oh, if you're gonna do that, you deserve to have extra noises made. You deserve for someone to stand next to you at the urinal and, like, comment on your penis size while you're on speakerphone with someone. Everything is fair game at that stage.
I mean, that was really the only major issue I ran into on the travels. There's a lot of driving, so we didn't really get to interact much with the other driving folk.
Yeah, I had relatively straightforward my travel back was
This is what we are.
incredible.
We are a transportation podcast.
Was incredibly long, but in the end, pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, because it was a holiday weekend and I bought my train tickets pretty late, could actually not get a train on the day that it was needed from the nearest station. So I ended up having to drive 5 hours, but in the right direction before then getting on a train. So it turned the travel day into like a 13-hour day in total, door
Oh,
to door, for what could, under other circumstances, be 6 hours door to door. So that
that
was
sucks.
frustrating, but the actual process was not too bad. But yeah, and I guess the only other topic, and I know the answer is going to be no, you will not have watched the latest episode of The Last of Us.
Well, you would call me a psycho if I had to watch it on my phone
No,
because I
no,
currently don't have a television.
in your own house, in your current, you have a laptop though.
We do have. I have my laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, so you, and you have
Actually,
the
I probably
internet.
will watch it in the next day or so. But we didn't have like I didn't know if we had internet even, but we do, so that's good.
So
So
you moved in and the internet was already in place. Like, you didn't have to do anything.
apparently it's part of the lease, the rental.
That's nice.
That's insane. Like I'm renting a house and the only thing it comes with is Wi-Fi. It's
How
a
does
really
that
weird thing.
what does that then mean for normally like packaging TV providers
So
and
I won't
stuff with it?
we're just not going to get TV. We're going to try out this YouTube television this year. It's going to be a new experience. YouTube TV. We're giving it a go, which will be nice at least for the NFL because you can get the Sunday package or whatever it is, and you can do like the split screens and all that. Um, might be trying to purchase a new television to maximize that experience. I saw some amazing sales at Costco for 85-inch televisions, like
The thing
under $500. It's
the thing is,
insane.
are they really sales? What?
No, they're not. But
That's just them
they're just
making it
so
look like a
cheap now.
sale. Yeah, no,
It's
TVs,
crazy.
what we would have paid for TVs 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think that's one of the advancements that would blow people's minds,
Yeah.
that you would have easily had to have spent two, three, $4,000 on a really good TV. And then now,
I want to meet
yes.
the guy who's held out and is now like, you know what? Now the
Yeah.
price point is right for a television.
Yeah. Well, they probably exist. But yeah, well, we can obviously discuss The Last of Us on the next episode. And big news, I think. We'll see. But next episode might be our first ever sponsored episode.
Oh,
So we can have that to look forward to. It may not be next episode. It might be the one after that, but we'll see. Not YouTube TV though. So
yeah.
I'll bleep them.
All right. I guess with that, we'll call it a day. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.